Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream Queen Size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal Queen Size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Here in South Carolina, we're making some progress when it comes to giving parents the power to choose what's best for their children's education. Now that movement just got another boost. Freedom in Education, a national organization that supports parental choice and academic freedom, has awarded a $50,000 grant to the Palmetto Promise Institute, a South Carolina-based think tank that's been leading the charge for education reform and school choice across the state. This grant will help Palmetto Promise expand access to the Education Scholarship Trust Fund, which provides scholarships for families who want private or alternative school options that better align with their child's needs and values. Joining us today, Dr. Oran Smith, a senior fellow with the Palmetto Promise Institute, to talk about what this new partnership means for South Carolina families, how the program is growing, and what's next for school choice here in the Palmetto State. Dr. Smith, as always, it's good to catch up.
Yes, always good to talk to you, Joey, especially about something that really has an impact upon real South Carolina families, and that's really what this is. ESAs, those are education scholarship accounts, they first came on the scene in 2011 in Arizona, and it was a way for parents to have access to what we'd probably call a portal, which would give them the ability to choose a provider of education, whether that would be a tutor or some evaluator, public school classes, or private schools. South Carolina's been a little late to the dance on it, and part of it's legislative and part of it's legal. We passed a very robust ESA bill in 2023, but then it was struck down by the state Supreme Court. So the legislature went back in and passed a new bill, which is so much better, and that's kind of what this grant is all about.
Yeah, and talk with us, Dr. Smith, in more detail. I mean, this $50,000 grant from Freedom in Education, it kind of comes at a good time, right? I mean, talk with us about the funds and how they'll be used and why this partnership matters to South Carolina families.
Yes, well, when this Education Scholarship Account Act was passed, which we call ESTF, the Education Scholarship Trust Fund, the only weakness about the legislation is there's no one charged with selling the program. So if you're a parent and you are deciding what is the best option for your child, you're probably just going to go to the local public school that your zip code zones you for without really looking around a whole lot. And you certainly would not know about 10,000 scholarships that have these special funding mechanisms that allows you to have a wide range of choice for your child. So in essence, we're the marketers. We're the sales team. We're reaching out in all the communities and virtually and through our website, scschoolchoice.com, to let the people of South Carolina know about this new program.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Education Scholarship Trust Fund. It began, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe I remember 5,000 scholarships initially, and this year that has grown. Talk with us about those numbers and the fact that it has been increased. Does that kind of tell us that there is demand for this?
I think it does, and we really want to show that there's more demand than scholarships available, and so far that's what's been happening. For the 2025-26 school year, which is sort of almost to the end of the first semester now. I find that hard to believe, by the way, that it's already as late in the year as it is. Sure. But there are 10,000 scholarships for 25-26, and there will be 15,000 for 26-27. 27. So the amount of funding that goes into that account that's controlled by the parent is about $7,600, $7,634 to be exact, and that's related to the amount that the state funds for students in regular public school, with some factors built in to allow that to grow every year. But the key factor to remember is there are 10,000 scholarships this year, 15,000 next year. The 10,000 scholarships for 25-26 were snapped up very quickly, and there is a long waiting list presently for that. So what we would like to see is for 26-27, for those 15,000 scholarships to be taken up, and maybe as many as that same number, 15,000 more, on the waiting list. And if that happens, that's a strong message to the legislature to do something they're allowed to do in the legislation, and that is expand the funding, create more scholarships. That would be our dream.
Yeah. On our guest line today, Dr. Oran Smith, Senior Fellow with the Palmetto Promise Institute. What would be the argument against doing that? I mean, what's the is there hesitancy among lawmakers to expand the program, or is it just sort of they're waiting to see just how popular it becomes?
I think you're exactly right. I think they're waiting to see how popular it will be. At one point, they were kind of calling it a pilot program, and it was only going to have a limit of 2 or 3 years. They took all that pilot language off. They also took out some language that required a student to have gone to public school the year before. That was significant. So for this 25-26 school year, you don't have to have attended public school previously. So students that are currently in private school, whose parents may be working 2 or 3 jobs to pay for their education, these accounts are now available for that $7,600 funding for the child. So a lot of students that are already in private schools or religious schools are choosing to use it, but also parents who didn't know they had a choice, and all of a sudden they do, and they have a wide choice of any school or other types of education, online education, many different options that are available because of the flexibility of these education scholarship accounts.
Yeah. Is that a challenge in itself? Do you find that some people just don't know what the program is, and they don't know what school choice means, that they're not familiar with the Education Scholarship Trust Fund and how it works? Is there a need to educate parents of what this program is?
Oh, there absolutely is, and that's why we set up SCSchoolchoice.com. That's SCSchoolchoice.com, so that parents can be educated about it. When the program first launched, before it was shut down by the Supreme Court, a lot of the applications that the State Department of Education received, some of them were for parents who thought it was a program for college or thought it was for pre-K, or really a lot of misunderstanding. And that's before we really got in earnest and began teaching, in essence, or educating the people of South Carolina about what the program is all about. So this grant that you mentioned, that allows us to do so much more: teaching, educating, marketing, explaining the program. Some parents find it just absolutely too good to be true, but it's not. It actually does exist in South Carolina. Now, there are over 700,000 students in traditional public schools. The 26-27 program for this will have 15,000. So it's not going to be an earth-shattering number, but it is a beginning, and I think once the legislature sees that it's working and starting to see how the lives of these kids are being changed by their new experiences, I really think it's going to take off, and the legislature is going to lift that cap. Yeah.
Dr. Smith, let's go back, and I want you to take a minute and kind of pat yourself on the back, if you will, because when you mentioned it being challenged with the South Carolina Supreme Court, and that was a delay with the program. Talk about how Palmetto Promise Institute stepped up, because people were already in the program. I mean, they were already involved in it, and how you guys stepped up to help those families out.
Well, the day that we found out, and it was September 11th, a date that we'll always remember for other reasons, but it was September 11th, we learned that the state Supreme Court had, in essence, shut down the program for all except for some of the tutoring and other providers that were not private schools. So if you were a private school parent benefiting from this program, then suddenly you were looking at running out of money after the first 9 weeks to fund your child's education. So our president, Wendy Damron, went to some donors both in the state and in the country and raised the several $1 million that was needed to fund the rest of the school year, so that these kids who had just gotten into their new schools could enjoy the entire school year in that school. And that was key to it, but also we had to fight the legal fight. So we worked on an amicus brief that was filed in the case. We asked the legislature to jump in and make some of the changes that the court recommended, get a new bill up, get that bill passed. So S62 was passed to renew the program and make some corrections that we hope that the court will like if it's ever enjoined or there's an attempt to enjoin it in the future. Right now, there has not been a lawsuit. We hope that there isn't another lawsuit. We think that the legislation fixes any problems that the Supreme Court identified. So just a lot of things went into surviving the court challenge, getting the bill passed again, getting these kids funded, and that's kind of what Palmetto Promise has been all about in this ESTF program.
Sure. Well, I applaud you for what you did to step in. And, one of the misconceptions I think that is out there is that the Education Scholarship Trust Fund and this whole program is for the wealthy and the well-connected. Talk with us about that, because that's just clearly not the case.
Right. Well, it's really for anyone that wants something matched specifically to their child. You can have some very creative plans. Say if you had a child that needed certain types of therapy, maybe they needed certain types of counseling, maybe they need a little bit of tutoring, maybe they wanted to take one class from the local public school, maybe they wanted to take some classes virtually. I mean, you could create just on the fly a customized plan for your child. And I think a lot of this was kind of going on during COVID anyway. A lot of parents were for the first time really taking stock of what their child's education was like and whether the type of education they were getting was a good match. A lot of parents just simply, they want their child to go to a different public school. So all of this becomes possible with a program like this. And ultimately, I can't predict the future, but I think this is the future. Parents being able to take the funds, essentially allowing those funds to follow that child to go to whatever type of program that parent chooses that matches that child's needs perfectly. And I really do think that's the future, one way or another.
Yeah. If you were to compare what we're doing here in South Carolina to other states, Dr. Smith, how do we compare? How does our program compare to others?
Well, we were to take the largest number that's in play right now, which is that 15,000 number for 26-27 that's coming up for that school year, and we were to compare it to Tennessee and Georgia and North Carolina and Florida. South Carolina would most likely be the lowest number and the lowest percentage, simply because Tennessee just passed a robust new program. Georgia has a relatively new program. North Carolina built theirs up, and Florida is school choice heaven. School choice in Florida has just become a part of regular life there. They have hundreds of thousands of scholarships available every year, and their program is very, very successful. A lot of that began when Jeb Bush was governor and has continued now under Governor DeSantis and others to just really open up the market. And it's transformed Florida and helped them with their academic issues that they had in the past in Florida. So it can be transformative for improvement on standardized test scores and things of this nature when students are matched to the perfect environment and the perfect situation for that individual child. And you may have 3 children Maybe they're all on the ESTF program, but all of them have slightly different educational experiences and settings. But that's possible with the ESTF, and we're just excited to start hearing these stories come in of these lives being transformed by the options that they now have with this program.
Yeah, well, Dr. Oran Smith with Palmetto Promise Institute, it's always a pleasure, and I thank you for being with us today and for the incredible work you and your team are doing to make education more accessible for families across the Palmetto State. Look, if you want to learn more about this program, go to scschoolchoice.com, scschoolchoice.com, if you want to learn more about what the great work that Palmetto Promise does, and they do a lot of work, not only in education, but other issues as well. PalmettoPromise.org, PalmettoPromise.org. Dr. Smith, always a pleasure. Appreciate you, and we'll talk again soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Let's be honest. Those summer vacations and backyard barbecues added some extra pounds, right? But instead of feeling guilty or falling further behind, it's time to reset, drop the weight, and get back in control. The solution isn't a shot. Real lasting weight loss starts with your mind, not your mouth. At PhD Weight Loss, Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team help you uncover the real reasons behind your weight gain so that you can reprogram the way you think about food forever. PhD clients lose up to a third of their body weight without ever taking a drug. I know because I lost 33 pounds with PhD Weight Loss. Through real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science, your body can become a natural fat-burning machine. Why risk spending thousands on shots that strip away muscle, come with dangerous side effects, and leave most people regaining 60% of the weight within a year? With PhD, you'll activate your body's natural appetite control, burn fat safely, and stay in control. Even if you're already on Ozempic, PhD can help you transition off while still losing weight. Take the first step today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. With fall leaves beginning to show up with some color, now's a good time to plan a drive through the foothills. And part of what makes those fall drives so special is the small town Carolina charm, and the kind that you find in downtown Walhalla right here in upstate South Carolina. And right in the middle of downtown Walhalla stands a building with over a century of history. Once a schoolhouse, now a stage where that history comes alive. I'm talking about Walhalla Performing Arts Center, a gym that's been bringing big-time entertainment to the upstate for years now. From country legends to bluegrass bands and Broadway-style performances. Joining me this morning, the guy who played a major part in making this happen, Mark Thompson, is executive director of the Walhalla Performing Arts Center, to talk about how this historic venue became one of the upstate's premier performance spaces and to give us a sneak peek at the incredible lineup headed this way this fall. Welcome back, Mark. Always good to have you.
Mr. Joey Hudson, it's great to talk to you, and I hope Miss Peg is doing great, and the dogs, and Mr. Mike Gallagher, everybody's doing well.
We are all doing good as we head into to this wonderful fall, the cool days, and we just doing great. Thank you for asking. Let's talk a minute, and we're going to get into the great lineup you have, and boy, you guys are busy. But for the sake of maybe listeners who aren't familiar with the Walhalla Performing Arts Center, it's more than just a concert hall. It's literally a restored piece of local heritage. Walk us through the history quickly of this old school building that was saved and transformed into a theater that we know today.
Yes, sir. Well, the main structure, the front of the building, was built in the 1902-1903 period as a graded elementary school and facilitated that for many years, and actually became an offshoot. They've had, the graded elementary school, and then in 1912, 1913, they built the additional wing onto the east side wing of the building, and then they built the auditorium off the back of the building and took the footprint that was originally about 10,000 square foot and added another 10,000 to make it a 20,000 square foot building. So it's got, of course, the main structure out front, the auditorium in the back. And once that was built, the auditorium was for purposes of, they did their high school graduations here. They did their middle school graduations, their elementary school graduations. They did their civic and community events in the auditorium. So just a lot of history. We've had so many people that come in here that are now 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, that come through the doors and said, I've got my diploma on that stage, whether it was elementary school or high school. I did my first recital on that stage. I played that beautiful baby grand Steinway that's been refurbished and reconditioned. It's been in the building forever. We played, the piano there. We danced there. We sang there. So some great history, and it's neat to see layers of families that come through here. So on a historical value, which of course as you're aware of, and I'm not sure if your listeners are, that the WPAC, the Walhalla Graded Elementary School, is on the historic registry, National Historic Registry, which took a lot of time and effort for the original ladies that constructed here, that were retired school teachers, educators, that some of which went to school here, came back and got their degree and taught school here, but they went through all the length with not only the city, the county, the state, but on a national level to get it registered. So the building has got that going forward. Of course, the historic registry tablet. It is a true nonprofit, and as you and I spoke off air, and don't want to get too far into it, but unlike a lot of facilities that you and I see and your listeners see that have been taken up either by a city or a county, and we could go through the whole state really and shoot off a bunch of them that are now under the tax base of a community or the county. We here are a true non-profit standing facility. We do apply for hospitality and a tax, but those are not generated off your tax base. That's off the tourism that comes into our community. And we, every year that we apply for, whether it's the county A tax or the city H tax, we have to supply our ticket sales and show based on our ticket sales where folks are coming from. So being on this tri-state corner, of course, we get a lot of people from Georgia, a lot of people from North Carolina, but we get a lot of folks that come in from Tennessee or will come in from Florida, not because it's the WPAC as such, but there may be an artist they want to see. The tickets are affordable. It's easy to park, and they're looking for just a fun weekend away. So they'll jump in their car and leave Florida, or even the folks over in Charleston. We get so many folks that live and reside in Charleston, and they come across the state 4 or 5 hours, and they've got all the tourism they want, but they want to come over and see this side, the beauty of what we've got on this side of the state, and come over here and hang out at our lakes and rivers and streams and hiking and biking and mountains and all the great things we've got here, and get off the beach for a little while. So they'll come out and stay and get an Airbnb. And we've got now downtown Walhalla some phenomenal restaurants. You come down. We don't have any fine dining as yet, but we've got some fun restaurants. You can come down and have a great time. A couple little brew pubs downtown and activity, but we keep it programmed and busy and make a weekend of it.
Sure.
Folks come in and see a show, and then maybe the next day we'll take a hike, go up to Stump House or Yellow Branch, or go up to Whitewater Falls, or go over to Lake Kiowee or Lake Jocassee or Lake Hartwell. So just the Chattooga River, just a lot of really cool things in the area. The auditorium, again, has been here. Gosh, it's literally weathered just every storm that's come through this area since 1903.
Yeah.
So it's just a great, sturdy structure. We now have the full 20,000 square feet completed. So the upstairs on the main structure, the 6,000 square feet plus that's upstairs, were the 5 original classrooms were restored. So 2 of which are Airbnbs, 2 of which are offices. And then the 5th room out of the 6,000 square foot is a conference room. So we use that and house for other nonprofits like the Oktoberfest and the Pilot Club ladies, and the Visit Oconee folks meet up there, and the Chamber of Commerce folks meet up there. So just a cool facility. We're programming all the time. This Monday coming up, we've got the Oconee County delinquent tax sale that's in our building, and the Oconee County folks over at the finance department come in here once a year and do the delinquent tax sale, and the whole town is packed with folks that come in, whether they're buying, flipping, or trying to salvage properties. So a lot of cool things going through the door. The YMCA programs, the Veterans Affairs programs come through here. So we try to share and lend and be a part of the community, even though we're not owned, run, or governed by the city or county. we are certainly a big part of it, and whatever we can do to be a part of that, we're involved in it. And great shows, as you mentioned. You and I spoke quite a bit last month. We had our very good friend in here 2 weeks ago from Fox News, and he's a great contributor, author, comedian, wrestler, bodyguard, all the above. Tyrus from Fox News in here, and tore the place down, came and did his comedy satire routine in here for 2 hours and 10 minutes straight that he did on stage. And folks just eat them up. They just love them around here. And we have a great time with that. We had Josh Turner here.
And if I could insert here, and with me today, Mark Thompson, Executive Director of the Walhalla Performing Arts Center. That's what I was going to say. That's what I love about what you guys do. You have gospel, you have country, you have comedy, you have just a wide variety. Now, I didn't realize you had the tax sale there too, but but you have a wide variety. You serve the community, but you also provide some great entertainment for the entire upstate and western North Carolina. And you have people coming up from Georgia. And I'm looking at your website now, walhallapac.com, and you just look at, the schedule you have. I mean, practically every weekend. And you look here too, limited seats available. Limited seats. Get your ticket now. I mean, you got to get these tickets quick because you guys are selling out a lot of these shows.
And I appreciate that. We do. We have a fun variety. We've got everything. As I started to mention, we had Josh Turner. We had Sarah Evans here a couple weeks ago. We'll have Marty Stewart here. We've had the legendary Winona Judd here. We've had Travis Tritt here. We've had, of course, a very good friend of yours and mine, the late, great James Gregory, and Tim Wilson in comedy. We have Brian Regan. We've got Karen Mills, of the fame with Leanne Morgan. And Karen and Leanne used to come here all the time, and Karen will be back doing her show. Dan Tominski. We've got blues, rock. We've got Mutt's Gone Nuts. We've got Emily Ann Roberts, upcoming country, from The Voice, whether they're on their way up or they're established, whatever it may be. A little bit of everything. We've got blues, rock, pop rock, the Gene Watsons, the legendary, the Lone Stars. So just a great, fun variety of music and entertainment. The Bellamy Brothers are back in the building. And then we've got some of the nation's top running tribute bands. I mean, some of these great bands that you and I grew up listening to. Queen, phenomenal, doesn't get any bigger, but, of course, Freddie Mercury's been gone now, and Queen no longer really tours. I mean, they'll go out and do a couple one-offs, but we've got a group called One Night of Queen, performed by Gary Mullen and the Works, and they're performing in 1,500 to 3,000 seat facilities. And we just were lucky enough on the radar that they had routed. They're going to be at the Blumenthal Performing Arts Center, and then another big one in North Carolina. And had heard about our venue from Mark Martell, who's one of the lead entertainers out there doing the works of Queen and Freddie Mercury, and they said, well, we want to come and give it a try. So we got them wedged in here. So some fun stuff, and of course our great friends at Black Jacket Symphony and all they do, traveling the nation, and again, as I mentioned, go through the list, funk, rock, pop, family, of course. We were talking off air about our great friend that you and I both have, the president of the Senate of SC, South Carolina here, good friend Thomas Alexander, and Jason Crabb, who Jason and Thomas and his beautiful wife Linda, they're all great friends. And Jason was here not too long ago, and of course you were here, and Jason will be back in. We're looking in the springtime. So those type of shows. Bill Whitmire, one of Bill's favorite shows, his family, his daughter and wife love the Celtic Angel show, and they'll be here Sunday, November 30th, and it's just a great, fun, family-friendly show, as they all are. And so, we'd love to see you out. We're just a little 500-seat rated facility. If the show does extremely well, we'll do multiple nights and have them in here for a weekend. Steel Drivers, when they came in, one of the top bluegrass bands, when they come through now, they do 2 or 3 nights in a row and just love their little residency here. And they come in and they hang out in town, and they go up and hike, and they go hit the lake. And we've got the rec center next door. They shoot a little hoops. So, So it is. It's a fun, we make a fun full package out of it.
Yeah.
And it's become a great little stop off of 85 for them going to Big City, USA down the road.
Yep. Mark Thompson is my guest today. We're talking about the Walhalla Performing Arts Center. For ticketing information, go to walhallapac.com. Check out the upcoming lineup, and it is a busy one for sure. You mentioned some of the tribute bands, and what I love about that, Mark, and Peg and I have taken advantage of it. But you're sitting there, and let's just use Rumors for example, because that's very popular.
Yeah.
The ultimate Fleetwood Mac. You think you're literally sitting there listening to Fleetwood Mac. I mean, it's just incredible.
It is, and it's phenomenal. And again, I don't want to date you or I either, but I know since
I'm old.
We're in the same. I know we're not in the same tax bracket, but I know we're in the same age bracket. So with that said, it is, a lot of these bands, and you'll see, and I had somebody, and I'll say this real quick. They gave me a comparison one time. They went to Charlotte, to the big amphitheater in Charlotte, and went to see a great show. It had, it was a Journey and Foreigner, I think, were the two on the lineup. We've seen a lot of those combos out there. And they went, and they're regulars here, and they're great folks. And again, they're at that retired age, between 60 and 70-ish. And they live over on the lake, and they're comfortable enough, kids grown up. So anyway, just thought for fun, they were going to go see this. They wanted to go see Journey. So they went over to Charlotte. They drove from here, Oconee County, drove over, got a hotel, had dinner, went to the amphitheater, paid to park, paid, $25 for a cup of beer and $25 for a 9-ounce glass of wine, and went and did the whole show. And they got there, and I think he told me, he paid, about $150, $170 a ticket. They were under the canopy area. So some decent seats, but not the most expensive, is what he told me. And they went to see the show, and he said, when Foreigner came out, they had, I can't remember the opening band, it was a trio, but Foreigner came on, they did their show, and then Journey came on and closed the show. And he said, of course, Journey has only one member from the band, the guitarist, that's the original. They had the drummer, but he's not been there from the very beginning. And so the lead singer is a replacement, of course, for Steve Perry. And the guy did a great job, and he said, I was watching, he said, well, all of a sudden they reintroduced the guy from Foreigner, who was not the original Lou Graham singer from Foreigner. And he came out, and he jumped up on stage and sang with Journey. And he said the guy from Foreigner was singing Journey better than the guy that was singing for Journey. And he said, and I sat there, and I just had like this aha moment. He said, we watched the show, we had a great time. I mean, it was the energy level and the lights and, the whole, and he said, but I got in the car with my wife, and after we were done, he said, we were driving back to the hotel, and he said, I got thinking about it. And he said, I wouldn't trade it. It was a great night. He said, but between the gas and the drive and the dinner and the hotel and the tickets and the parking and he said, we invested about $1,000 to come to Charlotte to come and see the show. And he said, and we saw two really, really great tribute bands, but we paid, a lot of money for the name. And he said, we can go see Black Jacket Symphony at our favorite place at the WPAC, or Rumors Fleetwood Mac, or, we had Mike Santora here doing his Billy Joel tribute last weekend. I mean, you close your eyes and it was like being with Billy Joel. And, I know it's not, but if you can spend $45 to $65, and he said, we can go to eat at Paisanos, or we can go down to Stump House, or we can go over to Carolina Pizza, or we, and still go home and be in our own bed and spend less than $200 and, and get the same quality of entertainment and not have to pay to park and, and be there with friends as well. So, something to think about. I certainly don't want to discourage folks from going to see these shows that are out there, but, unless you're going to see the Rolling Stones and you got, Mick and Keith on stage and what you're going to get, think about it. Think about the investment, what you're going to get into it. But we shop very, do a very extensive search on the tribute bands. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be the best of the best of the best, but we put a lot of work into it and try to get the price points. And, again, as I joked off air, I consider us the McDonald's of the theater business. We do a lot of shows because our margins are so small. So we're flipping a lot of burgers to make the back end meet, but it keeps the folks happy and it keeps the doors open. And we're just excited and happy to have folks come in. And we've got, a handful of great sponsors that we love to death. And I don't know, do I have time to give a shout out for the sponsors? Or
sure thing. Go for
possible?
It. Sure thing. Yes.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Kyle and Daryl, our good friends over at Blue Ridge Bank, and all they've done in phenomenal banking business, Upcountry Fiber, and all they do to keep our internet running and our phones running so we can get our ticket sales. Of course, our great friend William Kinley over at AnMed Hospital System and all they've done in the area in the Upstate here. And they keep me patched up after a weekend of work here. So I'm thankful. A big yell out to William there and the gang. And, of course, the city of Walhalla, and they have really come a long way. I mean, they're patching up a lot of stuff that's just kind of been let go over the last 20 years. So Celia and Tim doing a great job. And, of course, Phil Shirley and Cricket and Charlotte over at Visit Oconee and all they're doing for tourism. And, of course, the journal and the content. And, of course, our buddy Joey Hudson and all the great folks over there at our WORD radio family there. And I hate that I missed the party the other day. I just got too tied up at work. But we thank everybody there and all the great plugs and love we get from the Greenville market.
Well, you guys do a great job. And you may not say that it's the best of the best, but I'll say everything I've ever seen at the Walhalla Performing Arts Center is the best of the best. And I've been blessed, my friend. I've been able to travel all over the world. I've seen Broadway shows. I've been to big concerts, and there's nothing better than just being in downtown Walhalla at the Walhalla PAC. I mean, it's just great. WalhallaPAC.com. Check out the upcoming shows. Get your tickets today. Mark Thompson, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate what you do.
Joey, thank you so much. I hope to see you really soon.
That's it for this special weekend edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.